Okay, we'll start off on the next topic, which is bibliography. Okay, so what is bibliography? We already saw what referencing is. So bibliography is very similar to referencing. So bibliography is it contains the source of the reference that you have used. Okay, so it is information about the people you have used in your, it is information about the uh, research or book which you have referred for your study. Okay, so usually the bibliography comes after the appendix section, and if you are doing a thesis, then you have to have a separate sheet of paper saying bibliography. Okay, so the bibliography is nothing but it is a reference. Okay, and it is given at the end of your research, and it contains information about the authors who you have consulted. Okay, then the people who are looking through your research will know what all books you have referred for your study. When you're doing a bibliography, you should write about the author or authors. Okay, then the title of the book or journal, then the place of publication of the book. See, each book, if you open the first few pages, you can find the place of publication, then the date of publication of the book. So that is information which you have to put in the bibliography. If you are referring a journal article, then you will have to have information about the publisher, the authors who have written the journal article, the title of the article, the title of the magazine if it's a magazine source, then the volume number, serial number, date of issue, and maybe even the page numbers. So it's very similar to the reference that you have written, that we have studied already. But as we said, see, reference is something that you have used for your study. Bibliography, even if you have not used it for your study, if you have referred it, then you can include that in your research. So that is the difference between reference and a bibliography. Reference means 100% you have used it in your research. Bibliography, even if you have referred it, but you may not have included parts of this in your research, but still, because you have referred and read through this books or journals, you can use it in your bibliography. Okay, hope you understood what bibliography is. It's very similar to the reference. Okay, so the next important topic is research abstract. See, just like research proposal, the research abstract is very important. The previous class also I told you something about research abstract. Let us see what is the definition of abstract. See, abstract always means in a smaller form, in a perspective. See, if you have to, it's like a summary. Okay, if you read a whole book or a story book which has 2000 pages, then your friend comes and asks you what is the book about, then you can tell in one paragraph what the whole book is about. Okay, see, for now Abdul Kalam has written a book called Wings of Fire. If you have read that book and your friend asks what the book is about, then you will tell him in 2 lines or 3 lines about the book. So that is the abstract. Similarly, if you go to a movie, if somebody asks you what the movie is about, you will not tell the whole movie. You will not take 3 hours to spend and tell about the movie. Instead, you will tell the story and the plot in maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So that is abstract. So it comes from a Latin word called abstractum, which means condensed form of a longer piece of writing. So it is a summary. Usually it has 200 to 300 words, sometimes maximum of 500 words. So the whole important aspects of a research paper is condensed or summarized in the abstract. Okay, so it is a condensed or summarized part of a whole research, full research. Okay, hope you understood what the meaning of abstract is. The next part, why is abstract important? Why do we need it? Okay, you have done a research study or you have done a thesis which contains 100 pages. If you have done a research proposal writing, then it has information about your research. But a reader who wants to know in just 2 minutes about what your research is, then they can just read your abstract and get all the relevant information about what your research is about, what title you have done research on, what information you have collected through your literature review, how you have done the research, what are the results of your research, and what is your conclusion. So every information that is relevant to your research is contained in the abstract. So for a reader, he can just go through the abstract and find whether he is interested in your research or not. If he is interested, then he will go on and read in detail about your research. See, there are so many journals in the library. So when you open a journal, that's why I keep telling you to go to the library and read the journals. You open the journal, you find the abstract. If you are interested in the abstract, you go on and read the whole research. If you're not interested, you go to the next abstract and see if you are interested. Okay, that is why abstract is important. Then the second aspect why abstract is important is it enables searches in abstracts. See, most of the journals on the internet, you will find the abstracts available. I've told you about PubMed and other places where you can search about search journals on the internet. So there you will find abstracts. Very few full journals are available. So it's easy for you to search through abstracts. Okay, and the same reason it allows for quick retrieval by users. It's a very short thing and it is in only one page or half page, and it's easy for you to retrieve and read through it. Okay, and see, the use of computers, Google, if you type anything in Google, it gives a result. So the most important thing for a search engine is the keyword or the key terms. So the abstract usually contains key terms. So if a researcher is searching for information on the internet, then if you put in the keywords, you will get all the relevant abstracts. So that is why abstracts with a lot of information about keywords is important. Okay, so let us see the reasons for writing abstract. What are the reasons for writing abstract? First thing is, when you write a research article and you want to publish it in a journal, it should 100% have an abstract. Okay, so no questions asked, it should have an abstract. So when you submit articles for journals, you have to create abstract. So that is the first reason for you to write an abstract. Next thing is, when you apply for research grants, see, I was telling about funded projects. So you write to an organization and ask for funding. They need to first read the abstract to see if they are preliminarily interested in your research. Only if they go through the research abstract and are interested, they will read the whole research proposal. If not, they will just leave it. Okay, and even after the completion of your thesis or dissertation, okay, when you do a project and submit it to the university, you should have a abstract that will help the examiner to understand what research you have done, because the exam time, the examiner will not have time to go through the whole research. He will look at the abstract and see if you have done it in a proper way. Same way, after you submit complete a research and you submit proposal for a conference, we were telling about oral reports. Okay, when you submit a proposal that you are going to present your research in a conference, then you need to have a abstract so that the people who are organizing the conference will know whether it is relevant to the conference or not relevant to the conference. So let us see what are the components of an abstract. What are the parts of an abstract? The first thing, see, these are things which repeat everywhere. See, introduction is present in everything. In a proposal you have introduction, in a research study you have introduction, and in an abstract also you have introduction. So introduction will have the topic, and then it will have 2-3 lines about the research what you are doing. So it introduces the reader to the topic. Okay, so the title and 2-3 lines about what research you are planning to do. Okay, and the background or the need to study will have information about what literature you have read and what research people have done already and why you are doing this particular research. So that is the background. So this will form the second part of the abstract. The third component and very important parts are the methods and results. See, an examiner will look at the methods and the results to find whether you have done proper research, or even in a journal article submission place, or even in a thesis submission, or when you submit your research to a conference, they will look at the methodology and they will look at the results, especially the methodology, to see if you have used a proper method to do your research. Because if you have not used the proper method, if you have copied information from other sources, then it is not a proper method. So they will look at the methods and the results. And finally, the conclusion and implications are the fourth part of the abstract. So the last part is conclusion and implication, or you can say conclusion and recommendation also. So that will tell information about what you conclude from your research. So based on your research, what are the conclusions that you have, and what are the recommendations for the clinical people or any public, so anybody, what are the recommendations based on your research. So that forms the last part of the abstract. There are different types of abstracts. Okay, there are mainly 4 types of abstracts: the critical abstract, descriptive abstract, informative abstract, and highlight abstract. So let us see each of this. Critical abstract, it lists the main findings and information. Okay, it has findings and information. So it judges or comments about the study's validity. Critical means finding, it's not finding fault, actually finding whether it is done in a correct way. Okay, so it's called judging or commenting about the validity, reliability, or completeness. Okay, and you can evaluate an abstract and compare it with other researchers on the same subject. Okay, so this is the critical abstract. In a descriptive abstract, which is usually 100 words or less, it describes, descriptive means it describes about the purpose, methods, and the scope of the research. So it does not find fault or it does not judge the work, but it just describes information that is given or how the research was done. Okay, the next type is the informative abstract. So the informative abstract is part of, it is descriptive abstract plus some additional things. Okay, so it describes the purpose, methods, and scope, but also explains in detail what are the conclusions, what are the recommendations, and it is like so the informative abstract is like a small summary of the whole research that was done. Okay, so that's why it's called a surrogate for the work. It's surrogate means it's like part of the original. So it's like part of the original research that was done, but in a smaller version. It contains every aspect of the descriptive abstract, that is the purpose, method, scope of research, but also includes conclusion and recommendations. So that is the difference between descriptive and informative abstract. Then the fourth type is the highlight abstract. See, this is written based on your study. You take some important aspect which you think will catch the eye of the reader. Okay, an abstract itself is a short form of your research, which is mainly to attract the reader to go through the whole research. But in an highlight abstract, you take much more detailed view of the most important things that can catch the eye of the reader. So it's something which attracts. See, if you see some butterflies, they are very colorful, so you get attracted immediately, whereas there are other butterflies which may not be so colorful, so you don't bother to see. So something like that. So as soon as somebody sees your abstract, they should be interested to go through your research study. So that is what highlight abstract is all about. We can say that it is biased, so that people will want to read your research. Okay, so this is not used in academic writing because we should not be biased in academic writing, but usually in journalistic uh, areas they use this highlight abstract where they give a short information, or even in websites you see this kind of abstracts, highlight abstracts, where they give an introduction which is very attractive so that you want to visit the website or read the news article. So that is highlight abstract. So let us see how to write an abstract. See, writing an abstract is done only when you go through your research again and again. Your dissertation or your thesis or your research article has to be read and reread again and again, and then you will understand which is the most important part of the research. Or if you are deeply involved in your research in every phase of your research, and if you are the only person who has been involved in the research, then it's easy for you to understand which are the relevant parts, and then you pick out all those areas and then you use it in the abstract. So that is what abstract writing is all about. It should have the important points from each section: the introduction, the methodology, the discussion, results, conclusion. So the important points are taken out and it is written in the abstract. And you have to check the word count, because the whole abstract should be 100 words or 300 words or 500 words. So based on the journal where you are publishing, you have to check the number of words and make sure that it fits into that criteria. And finally, once the abstract is written, you should see that there is a cohesion or the flow of thought. It should not be very haphazard. People who read it should it should have a sequence. It should be like a flow chart, so that they are able to understand what you have done in your research in an easy way. Okay, so let's see what are the qualities of a good abstract. It should be coherent, means it should have, that's what cohesion is all about. It should merge, one line should merge with the next line, means it should go hand in hand. It should not be disconnected. Okay, then it should be concise, that means summarized, short and independent with good transition. Then it should cover all sections, that it should have introduction, it should have methodology, it should have discussion, conclusion, everything, results, everything should be there in the abstract in a chronological order, in a proper order. And it should once you write an abstract, it should not have new information. All the information in the abstract should be from only your research study. It should not be from other sources which you have not used in your study. And abstract should always be easily understandable by technical people as well as lay people, and it should focus on the issues or the topic which you have selected rather than other areas. Okay, so if you write an abstract which has all these qualities, then it will be considered as a good abstract. Okay, so all of you, when you do your research, after you do your research, you will be writing an abstract. So this is how you should write an abstract, and this is the method of writing the abstract. Hope you understood. If you have any doubts, you can please let me know through WhatsApp or other methods. Thank you.